I love how it's so quiet out here in the snow. While many people would head indoors, photographers want to get out and photograph in this environment. But how do you dress to protect yourself from the cold, and how do you handle your gear when shooting in the winter? That's what this episode is all about, preparing for winter photography. So let's get started. I'm Terry Vanderheiden, your host of the Nature Photography Podcast. You can find this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's all in the main podcast players. In this episode, we're going to cover winter prep for photography from head to toe, literally. So when you're out in the cold weather, you need to protect yourself. Not only can it be dangerous, it can be uncomfortable, and when you're uncomfortable, you're not going to be out shooting very long. In an effort for full transparency, all of the products discussed in this video have been paid for by myself and not sponsored in any way, with the exception of the gloves. I have personally researched, purchased, and used these products myself to make my outdoor photography experience more enjoyable. Let's start at the top. Now, this is what I do for cold weather. You may have some better ideas, so be sure to let me know in the comments or in suggestions by email of what you use for working in the cold. I start with a lined knit cap. I found this one with a slight bill, and it works pretty good at keeping the snow and the rain off my glasses. The most important part of a good hat is to keep you warm. Get something that you can pull down over your ears if you need to, if it gets really cold. Now, I choose to use my brain cells for photography and not for growing hair. So an extra liner on my head is helpful. Sometimes when it's not that cold, I'll use the liner under my wool cowboy hat. This has a wide brim and helps keep the rain off my face and snow off my face. So I can use it also as a shade for looking at the viewfinder on the back of my camera. The ones that I use are made from a company called Lightfelt, spelled L-I-T-E. These are comfortable to wear for long periods at a time, and I've tried many others, and one I tried had a satin brim on the inside, and that was kind of cold against my skin. But if you have more hair on your head than I do, then it's probably not going to be a problem. This type of hat is great because you can roll it up and pack it, and it comes right back to shape in no time. Next is face and neck covering. A good choice to cover your face is a balaclava, not to be confused with baklava, the Greek pastry. That would not do a very good job at keeping your face warm. The balaclava covers your whole head and neck and is long enough to tuck down into your shirt. They're usually made of stretchy fabric that can pull down and expose part of your face if you want to. Another product I use is called turtle fur. I bought it from REI, but I'm sure you can get them in other places. This has a couple layers of fabric that keeps my neck warm and especially keeps the wind out. This is what you want, is something that'll keep the wind out. The next product is a good outerwear jacket. There are tons of them out on the market to choose from. I chose a rugged jacket that provides some cold protection, but also water protection. Mine is from Carhartt. That's spelled C-A-R-H-A-R-T-T, so 2 T's if you're gonna look it up online. I bought this jacket a bit roomier so that if I'm needing to cover up some camera equipment or have a puffier vest underneath, I'll still be able to do that. And yes, I do wear a vest. Currently, I have a Patagonia down vest, bought as well at REI. Down, as you know, comes from geese and is valued for its lightweight and its ability to insulate. It's great for pulling out of a pack and get some instant insulation. Down traps pockets of warm air so that it's next to the skin, keeping you warm, and the cold is kept out. The numbers that are associated with down, like 900 and 600 fill, that has to do with the quality of the down, not necessarily the quantity of the down. So the higher number, you're gonna get a better quality. So that higher number is gonna equate to less bulk in your vest or jacket or whatever it is that has down in it. The down weight that you see on some products, like 200 grams or 300 grams, that has to do with how much heavy the weight is of the down. If you combine those two and you look at like an 800 fill with a 200 or 300 gram, you're gonna have the heaviest, warmest possible down product there. The problem is that you're gonna be adding some bulk. It's not gonna crush as easily, not gonna get as small, so it's not maybe something that you wanna pack with, but it will keep you warm. So you gotta kind of consider what it is that you're looking for in your outerwear. Under the vest, I wear a long sleeve flannel shirt. I have regular flannel shirts, and I also have the ones that are fleece lined. Those are the warmest ones. And they're really great if you're gonna hop out of the car or if you're gonna be standing for a long time waiting for the light. If you're gonna do any hiking and would work up a sweat, choose layers of clothing that are not cotton, as cotton doesn't wick away sweat very well. A better choice might be wool or synthetic fabrics, and do them in lots of layers. That way it'll keep the perspiration off of your skin and keeping you less opportunity to get cold. Under my main shirt, I like to use a mock turtleneck. This is actually from the golf industry, so I like to use the FootJoy Pro Dry Performance Golf Mock. It's made from a polyester blend fabric that has a little bit of spandex added to it. It has sweat wicking properties, so if you do perspire hiking to a location, the moisture will be pulled away from your skin. The idea here is that moisture quickly pulled away from your skin will allow it to dry because it transfers to the other side of the fabric and not next to your skin. That's how you keep dry and warm in winter areas. Layering is the key to cold weather photography. More layers create more barriers to trap air away from your body and keep you warmer. After the break, we'll talk more about how you're going to get yourself geared up for winter and rainy photography. As a professional photographer, my most used tool is not any particular camera or lens, but every day I need to use Adobe Lightroom. Lightroom's the tool I use to organize and process all my raw images. Most photographers know that the real power of Lightroom lies in the Develop module, where you can make corrections and expand your creativity. The effort that you take to process your images in Lightroom can eliminate frustration, save time, and take your photography to the next level without ever opening Photoshop. One of the most powerful and underused tools in Lightroom is the Brush Preset tool. Here you can design brushes to accomplish some amazing editing results. Instead of just making global adjustments, brushes will allow you to precisely enhance your images down to the tip of a brush. Look how easy it is to elevate a common image to spectacular. The hurdle to building your own brushes is that it takes time, knowledge, and expertise. I encourage you to learn how to build your own brushes and start using them. Over time, I've created my personal set of wildlife and landscape brushes. In my set, I have 32 brushes that I rely on. 5 alone are specifically designed to enhance just the eyes of your wildlife subjects. I also have brushes for bird feathers, animal fur, and landscape photographs. I've even created brushes entirely for black and white landscape images. You may not charge professional prices for your images, but there's no reason you can't put out professional results. My personal set of Lightroom brushes are now for sale. If you support this channel by purchasing these brushes from me, you'll also get exclusive access to video I've created to easily learn how and when to work with each individual brush. If you haven't already done it, try building your own Lightroom brushes today. Or you can support this channel and buy mine. Just head over to imagelight.com and click on the digital products page, and you can download them right there along with the instruction videos. Thanks. Next up, and very important, is keeping your hands warm. Just like all your extremities, farther out from your body, the more chance they're going to do to get cold faster. Plus, if you're using your hands to touch other cold things like tripod legs or moving snow out of the way, that's going to get your hands real cold. There are 2 schools of thought on gloves. First, you get 2 pairs of glove. One, a thin pair of glove called a glove liner, and that goes under your gloves, and then a bulkier pair that you can put over that. That's for the maximum warmth. The thought is that the thin gloves are going to be used to give you the dexterity you need for your camera dials. There is another solution, and that's getting photography gloves. These photography gloves were sent to me by the company Valorette. They have this version of gloves that I'm going to be wearing here that are called the Markov 2.0. They also make a version that's a bit heavier called the IP suit, and they're great for extreme cold weather. What makes these gloves special is that the thumb and fingertip of each glove has an opening, and you can easily expose your fingertip and your thumb to get true dexterity on your camera control. They also thought ahead and placed small magnets in the gloves to secure the glove tips while you're working with your exposed fingers. Just open up the index fingertip, and then you can also open up the thumb, and now you have full dexterity use. And then it's easy to close them back up again. This also eliminates the need for gloves that are touchscreen conductive. The type of finger gloves that you want to use for a smartphone, or in many cases now when we use our touchscreens on our cameras. I've used these touchscreen gloves before, and they work some of the time, but not consistently. So these finger exposing gloves are better because you have true touch control of all of your devices. You get these at photographygloves.com. Remember to order a size that's a little bit larger than the sizing guide for the perfect fit. Now that you're covered from the waist up, you need to cover the rest of your body. With pants, you want to start with something warm, like a thermal long john that covers you all the way down to your ankles. You can get these in all kinds of materials, but I'd stay away from cotton for this layer because it's going to be next to your skin. There are some wool versions that are really great, and if you're standing around a lot, you can even use flannel lined pants because those are just going to be keeping you warm and keeping the cold out. Over these pants, you can cover them with a water-resistant rain pant or snow pants. This layer will keep you from getting wet, and getting wet is the problem since it takes much longer to dry in cold weather. On the bottom of my pants, I use Gators. These Gators snug around your calves and go underneath your hiking boots and actually secure right to the bootlace front of your boots. More on that in just a minute. These Gators allow you to trudge through snow and not get snow down into your boots. Snow in your boots is killer. Having wet feet will ruin your outdoor shoot faster than just about anything. Speaking of boots, I use waterproof boots that are made by Merrell. These I got as well at REI. And these boots start with a Gore-Tex outer shell. Gore-Tex is a very popular waterproofing fabric. And what it means is it's got breathability. You see, Gore-Tex fabric has in the middle of it a very thin membrane that has over 9 billion pores per square inch. These pores are 20,000 times smaller than water droplets, so water can't pass through the membrane. However, the pores are 700 times larger than water vapor, which allows the water vapor to escape. When you're perspiring, you generate vapor. If this is not allowed to escape, it would build up and then turn into fluid. Fluid next to your body will get cold and consequently make you very cold. So anything Gore-Tex is great to have on. These Merrell boots are made with the Gore-Tex, so the only downside about Gore-Tex is that it's somewhat pricey. So you can get to be pretty expensive if you try to completely deck yourself out in Gore-Tex. There are other products out there on the market that are just like Gore-Tex, but what you're looking for is something that is breathable. Now back to these boots. They have a tiny little hook built in that is where the Gators that we talked about earlier can hook onto. And this secures the Gators to cover your laces and hook completely sturdy to your boots. So when you're shopping for hiking boots, take a look and see if they have this little hook provision on the boots so that way you can attach Gators. Look for a warm pair of socks. I often use a liner pair of socks first, and then I have the warmer socks on the outside. You want to keep your feet dry. On the bottom of your shoes, I recommend snow tracks or something like it. I consider these chains for your shoes. They attach with flexible rubber, and these little metal spikes dig into the ice and snow. I just keep these right in the door of my truck so I can slip them on as I step out of the vehicle, because slipping on ice while carrying camera gear is never fun. Another option of wearing snow pants, Gators, and spiked hiking boots is getting a good pair of chest waders. These offer good insulation against the cold and water, of course. Waders, of course, are from the fly fishing industry, and the pair I have is from a company called Redington. When wearing waders, you're waterproof all the way up to your chest, so trudging through snow, water, tall weeds, just about anything, you're protected. Most waders go down to a neoprene bootie, and over that, you're going to slip on wading boots. Mine are from Simms, and I bought these boots that I could attach a tiny metal studs to on the bottom. This gives you great traction through ice as well as on river bottoms. When you're looking at wader boots, there are a couple things to consider. First is the fit. You've got to make sure that since you're going to be flipping these over a neoprene bootie, they're going to need to be a little bit larger. And get a good pair that's comfortable and lightweight, because consider that you're going to be hiking a fair amount of time with these on, and you want to be comfortable as you go. There are a couple of options with wader boots. Since the product is going to be used year-round, not just in the snow, you can use them to get your favorite water level shots in streams and lakes all through the year. It's the sole of the boot that differs. A very popular type of sole wader boot is felt. It's so comfortable, it's like you're walking on plush carpet. They also grip well on slimy river bottoms. The problem is that they're outlawed in many states. That's because felt takes such a long time to dry, and some organisms can live inside the soles, and then they can get transferred to other waterways. The fishing industry has traced back the transfer of harmful organisms from river to river to the soles of felt wading boots, which means many states will not allow them in their lakes and streams. The solution is to do what I did. I got metal studded boots. The only drawback to metal studded boots is that you can't go walking into a store or a home that has floors that would be damaged by the metal studs. So if you want to go inside, you may need to take off your boots. Well, you'll definitely have to take off your boots, but you may also need to take off your waders as well. A solution is to just get a second pair of rubber-soled boots that you can slip on, and that way you can move about unrestricted. There you have it. You're all dressed and ready for winter's harshest weather. Now let's talk about how to deal with your equipment. Most professional and semi-professional cameras are watertight, but check with your manufacturer before you subject your camera to the elements. They sell these little rain jackets that you can attach to your camera gear, and honestly, I have some, but I don't use them very often. If it's snowing while I'm shooting, I'll just drape a towel over the camera and a lens to keep it mostly dry. It probably goes without saying that you want to be careful about changing lenses and putting in memory cards while out in the elements. Maybe doing this back in your car to dry off and make the changes is a smarter way to go. One of the cold weather issues we deal with here is less battery life in the cold. Don't be surprised that your batteries will deplete sooner than you're used to while working in cold temperatures. But this is a pretty easy fix. Just bring along extra batteries, keep them charged up, and then put them in your pockets close to your body so it keeps them warm with your body temperature. And then when you need them, you can just pull them out. Another battle that occurs that only seems to occur in cold weather is condensation. If you breathe on your viewfinder, you can fog it up. There shouldn't be a situation where you need to be breathing on your viewfinder or the front of your lens, but always bring a lens cleaner cloth. That's a good idea to keep handy. Condensation can also build up from your equipment from going in and out of a warm car. A couple of things to protect against that is to keep your car cold as you're outside shooting and not running the heat and maybe even leaving the windows down when you're driving. You're likely going to be dressed for the cold anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem. When you come inside for the day, leave your camera equipment bag zipped up and leave your equipment that way for a while until everything comes to room temperature. Any condensation that'll form will form on the outside of the bag and not be on your equipment. And that's okay. If your tripod's been in and out of snow or in the water, make sure to extend the legs so it can fully stand up and dry out. There might be a situation where you need to take it apart and make sure the joints are dry, but most tripods these days will protect against that. You just need to extend it, keep the water out of it, let it dry up normally. Planning ahead is the best way to go. Make sure you have the right lens on before you go out. And this is not always ideal, but if you're going to go out to shoot scenics in the river, bring your wider lenses. If you're going to go out to shoot winter coats of foxes, then make sure that you have a long lens attached and that's all you take with you. Make sure you have a clean, empty memory card installed so you're ready to go. Winter photography can be a great time to get out and photograph. Animals are a lot of times more concerned about their next meal than worried about you standing over there with your camera. The winter will minimize how many people are out photographing nature because it takes more preparation to go out, and many people don't want to be put to the time and trouble to prepare like that. So that means there's going to be less people in your backgrounds or scaring off wildlife where you're out and around. And nobody wants to be uncomfortable for a long period. So having the proper clothing and the gear a lot of times will separate you and keep the scene to yourself. So be prepared and get out in the cold and wet weather and do some of this fantastic winter photography.